The statistics show on average, almost 75% of women kind of fell into the industry, myself included, and 50% of men. I think it highlights the discrepancy of, women aren't actively pursuing manufacturing jobs, or they don't see themselves as that career for them.
Hi, Rachel. Welcome to the Manufacturing Report podcast.
Hey, Scott. Thanks for having me.
So I'm very much looking forward to hearing about your role at Thomas, what Thomas and Zomemetry are doing. But first, I wanted to give our listeners an opportunity to know a bit about you and your life before Thomas.
Yep.
How did you arrive here, and any key milestones you want to share along the way?
I joined Thomas earlier this year as general manager, and I'm a tech executive. I've spent almost 20 years focused on growth strategy and marketplaces, sales, and operations. So it's been exciting to join Thomas and get to know the team and get to know the brand and our customers, many of which have been working with us for decades. But before that, I've kind of spent my career and my life identifying and solving complex problems. That's what I love to do. If you find me on the weekends, I'll be building Lego and puzzles with my family. So personally as well, but also my career. Before Thomas, I spent time at Angie, also identifying and solving complex problems for my home improvement clients in our enterprise segment. And that's what excites me about Thomas. Manufacturing is hard. It's complex. It's not easy, but it underpins our domestic economy. It's who we are as a country. And now we're kind of, as an industry, at the forefront of automation and AI. So it's really exciting to be a part of Thomas and get to come along for the journey.
Well, that's fantastic. And had you always been a tinkerer and a problem solver when you were younger as well, Rachel?
Yes, definitely. My mom always jokes that I love to kind of build things. We had the Legos and Duplos growing up, and Lincoln Logs, and every building thing you can think of. I'm one of four, so it was a very hectic household, but we were always building things. So it's kind of in my blood.
Fantastic. Okay, side question on Legos. What is the most fantastic thing that you've built, you think, with Legos?
I just built with my son, who's 5 now, but he loves Lego, which is amazing. We just built the Spider-Man poster. Lego came out with all these really cool things you can hang on the wall, so he started to build a lot of those. And it's this cool 3D poster with Spider-Man kind of coming out of the poster. So not necessarily the biggest Spider-Man fan, but I thought it was a really cool piece, and it was fun to build.
That sounds awesome. You obviously have a great background for this, and you've spent, a good part of your career connecting customers and service providers in a way. And one thing that is fascinating to me about Thomas, and I don't know how many of our listeners know the history of it, so I want you to get into that. But this is a company that has been around for like more than 120 years.
Yeah, we're an iconic brand in manufacturing. We have this deep-rooted history in the American manufacturing landscape and a rich legacy, almost 130 years, like you mentioned. And actually, fun fact from history, in World War II, the Thomas Register was deemed so vital to the economy that the government actually exempted us from strict paper rationing laws. So again, just a really long history of supporting the industry through tough times. And helping grow our clients and grow the industry one connection at a time.
Yeah. And I'm curious because I guess within manufacturing, and people who I guess know a bit about manufacturing history would know about the big green books, and I just want to say that there's not a lot of companies that have made that transition from the physical to the digital. And some of this obviously predates your tenure here.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering if you could walk us through that, because, the Sears Roebuck catalog was ubiquitous and, Poof, or a number of other things. But what's the secret sauce at Thomas?
I mean, honestly, it's listening to our customers. So, as the industry digitized in, the 90s, we shifted online. And we've continued to listen to both customers, both the suppliers and the buyers of what they're looking for and how they can best identify, partners for them to grow their business. As we think about, the filters we've added to our site and how do you dig through 500,000 suppliers and find who you're looking for? So ultimately, we're trying to be, the source for suppliers and the supplier's best friend. Help find them buyers to identify them in that pool of a huge number of potential supply chain partners.
Yeah. And I do want to get to how Thomas and Zometry are combining to offer even more. But I'm wondering if you could walk us through just an example, either if you're a machine shop or if you're someone wanting to make something that's looking for a shop, how that customer experience plays out on Thomas.
Definitely. So we're the leading platform and trusted source for identifying North American manufacturing suppliers. So buyers can come to thomasnet.com. They can type in a search of what they're looking for, and wherever they are in their journey, whether it's day one trying to identify products or potential suppliers, or they're ready to submit an RFI. They can come on our website, search for what they're looking for, identify a list of suppliers they can reach out to. They can dig into those profiles and click on their videos, a factory tour or a company overview. They can click on their website from our listing, or they can look at their product suite sometimes. And then they can submit an RFI when they're ready to reach out. They can do that through our platform and start that conversation with our partners. And from a supplier perspective, we offer a number of different services. You can buy a listing, so you can kind of beef up your listing on our website so buyers can better find you. But we also have a digital marketing arm. So we have TMS, Thomas Marketing Services, and we do just that. We create and identify and execute marketing strategies on behalf of our manufacturing clients. And that can be creating your own website and building your own lead gen platform and paid and organic strategy associated with your own website as well. So really across the suite of identifying buyers and helping buyers connect with you, we have something to offer. And we are an integral part of our parent company, Zometry as well. They're the marketplace for connecting buyers and suppliers, or the global manufacturing capacity. And we're a part of that ecosystem as well.
Yeah, and let's talk about that and what that has meant. And I know Thomas was acquired by Zometry a few years ago, but what is the value add there for manufacturers and for customers as well?
Definitely. We both have the same vision ultimately, which is strengthening American manufacturing and connecting buyers and suppliers. We just do it in slightly different ways. So Zometry is the marketplace that connects buyers and suppliers in real time on platform, leveraging AI. Thomas, on the other hand, like I mentioned, sort of the supplier's best friend. We're trying to help buyers identify you and find you and sift through the local suppliers or national suppliers. There's almost 500,000 in the U.S. So helping those buyers find you and support their supply chain for whatever their needs are.
I'm glad that you shared that. And I did want to shift to the kind of Made in America footprint, because this is top of mind for a lot of people. It's
Definitely
something we work on quite a bit. And it's probably surprising for people to know that there are hundreds of thousands of folks in manufacturing. But talk to us about, if you could, the partnership with the Small Business Administration, because I know that we get so many calls every week of like, I have this idea and I want to find someone to do it. So how did that partnership with Small Business Administration come about?
Yeah, at thomasnet.com is how to find it. So we have the answer for you. But no, Thomas is synonymous with American manufacturing, like I mentioned, with our brand and our deep-rooted history. So it's kind of a natural fit to be one of the companies that's sponsoring this initiative with the SBA. And their mission with this initiative was to identify partners like us to, help connect small and medium businesses with verified U.S. manufacturers. And I think a lot of people don't realize that manufacturing is mostly small and medium businesses. So it is this really large pool of, local factories that are really ingrained in their local communities and economies. And I think that aligns really, really well with who Thomas is and who we've always been and what we're here to support. So I think there's no doubt that in manufacturing and beyond and other industries that we're all kind of feeling uncertainty right now. And I think that's why this initiative is so important and why Thomas is so important. And we have supported through world wars and pandemics and the Great Depression and then, now this. And I think manufacturing has always come out stronger. And we've always had our mission to drive that growth one connection at a time. And I think this initiative with the Small Business Administration helps support our current client base and the remaining, client base of the entire industry.
Yeah. Yeah. And it seems that if companies are navigating through the changing geopolitical or economic circumstances or just supply and demand, that having a tool that helps with supply chain realignment is going to be exceptionally valuable in this type of environment.
Definitely. And we're continuing to invest in other ways to more quickly and efficiently identify what you're looking for, whether that's, specific region within the US, updating our search to allow for automatically as you search for different geos or zip codes or however local you're looking to go, giving you the search results that best match what you're looking for. So continue to invest in our product and our offering so that the listing is as valuable to our buyers as possible, and so that we can make that connection with buyers and suppliers.
Sure. It must be the case that with the connections to so many suppliers and so many transactions that you spot trends, challenges, maybe early warning signs or, green shoots a lot earlier than other people might. So Rachel, what have you noticed? What kind of trends and challenges are you observing right now?
Yeah, we hear so much about uncertainty, honestly. And like I mentioned, I think that kind of manifests itself in a number of different ways. We talk to our clients, we hear about pricing hurdles, we hear about reshoring efforts, or even just supply chain resiliency in the face of tariffs and other legislation. We hear a lot about, how they're investing in automation and AI. But I think one of the things we hear the most about is the uncertainty of the labor market. And actually, Zometry, our parent company, launches an annual survey in conjunction with WIM, the Women in Manufacturing Association. And our 2025 edition, our fifth edition, had 79% of respondents say they were facing labor hurdles. So this is, the vast majority of the industry is experiencing the shortage. Something we hear about from our clients all the time, and you can see it in other surveys as well. Deloitte and the Manufacturing Institute launch an annual survey about manufacturing as well, and they estimated close to 2 million jobs unfulfilled by 2033 at the current gap. So it's a real issue, and it's something our clients talk about all the time.
Yeah, clearly. And I gather, though, that you kind of like labor market services. Is that something that you're engaged with, or something that you can just with the suppliers, or is that something that just because of the observations that you have with so many different suppliers that you're able to share more broadly?
Yeah, both. We, hear this from our clients all the time, especially as we talk about growth. And some of them can't grow if they don't have the labor to do so. So it's something they think about and they plan for as they're thinking about their own growth. And so it's a topic of conversation for sure. But it's also something where, our parent company, Zometry, is kind of putting their money where their mouth is. When we IPO'd in 2021, we pledged 1% of our proceeds for the following 5 years to investing in STEM-related talent and the next generation of talent. So proud to say that we've sponsored over 270 scholarships for 2- and 4-year institutions for students in the U.S., including in Zometry's backyard in the DMV area, with Howard University and the Community College of Baltimore County, but also in other states in Connecticut, South Carolina, New York, Wisconsin. So I think it's kind of a duty of the industry and a responsibility of the industry to kind of showcase the opportunities that manufacturing offers and help build that awareness. And I think some of these partnerships with local colleges, local high schools, local trade schools, and local associations, like our partnership with WIN, can really help build out and train and build awareness about the amazing careers in manufacturing.
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to point out that I'm glad that Thomas and Zometry have skin in the game, because I think that is important to be part of the solution. And you must see through these programs that there are lots of successful efforts to do training and skill building, and they just need scale really across the country.
Definitely. And I think, I think it's everyone's duty as leaders in the industry and as, manufacturing companies to think about this. And I was actually just with a client a couple of months ago who has a apprenticeship program with their local high school. And every year they bring in high school students to do a rotational program and, get to know a couple different jobs. And it's so cool to see. I think it builds, early brand loyalty. It builds awareness of the types of jobs that exist. which I think is a hurdle in our industry, still kind of a stigma about our industry. And I think that's a great opportunity. And I think that people don't realize that manufacturing is high tech today, and that high tech is manufacturing, and it's not your grandfather's manufacturing anymore. And we're in this kind of rapid state of transition to being a much higher tech industry. And so there's fabricators and operators, but we're also seeing a strong growth in demand and outpaced growth in demand for automation experts and robotics engineers and data scientists and digital marketers like we have at TMS. And I think there's potentially a lack of awareness from those folks who are getting those degrees and who are getting that expertise that this is even a career opportunity for them. So I think that's important.
Couldn't agree more. And I do think that the just that kind of exposure is so important, because the stereotype, that some have perpetuated is not, it's, you could, dirty, dark, dangerous, or,
Yes.
You could lose your job because the factory moves overseas. I mean, there's lots of opportunities now. The factory floor has changed. I'm in steel mills all the time, and the jobs have changed almost 100% from what they used to be, say 20 or 30 years ago.
Yeah.
So,
And I think there's so many additional benefits that, again, are not as talked about. The average wage in the industry is over $100,000, which is significantly higher than, the national average. Our survey showed 80% of both men and women, or over 80% of both men and women, were highly satisfied with their career. So again, I think it's not top of mind necessarily for folks who are graduating with a STEM degree or who are thinking about, high tech roles in their, high school years, aren't necessarily thinking, manufacturing is top of mind. So I think it's an image and a stigma that we need to invest in fixing and building that awareness.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm frankly tired of people saying that, well, people don't want to work in manufacturing, because if they know about what the opportunities are, they do, and they can find it to be quite satisfying as well.
And
So
I think we're kind of as folks in the industry, even if I'm at a bar or at a event with other parents for my kids, I talk about, what do you do? I talk about, I'm in manufacturing. And again, I think that helps combat some of that stigma of what manufacturing is and can be.
Yeah, that kind of person-to-person sales is exceptionally important. I think in all of this, I read something just the other day in the New York Times, a piece about this as well. And it was like how high school counselors are graded based on how many kids they send on to college, as opposed to preparing them for the workforce. And it's like, what's wrong
Oh, definitely.
with that system?
Definitely. I read something recently too that said, only 5% of parents are pushing their kids towards trade schools versus, I think it was 80% or something close to that, pushing their kids towards colleges. And and I think there's real opportunity for technical schools and for more STEM-related backgrounds, and to kind of build that excitement early. And I've talked about this in other podcasts I joined over the years, but it's so funny having two toddlers. We spend a lot of time with my almost 5-year-old and 2-year-old with trucks and, construction birthday parties and, talking about the trades and building Lego, like I mentioned. And then something happens later where we kind of stop talking about manufacturing, and it almost fulfills that stigma in the high school years. So I really think it's an image we need to work on as an industry.
Oh, that's a really interesting observation. I'm so glad that you shared that. One of the solutions for getting more engagement in manufacturing and really helping to get hundreds of thousands more people into it is diversifying the workforce as well. And for years, I think the image and the data showed this a little bit, that it was overwhelmingly male. And in some areas, very white male. I mean, that wasn't true in the urban manufacturing centers. But I know that you care deeply about trying to ensure that there is more opportunity, and so that we can have more engagement, particularly with women and others who've been underrepresented in the trades. Can you talk a bit about why that's important to you?
Yeah, definitely. I think the statistics show, again, on average in the industry, our survey showed 75% of women, or almost 75% of women, kind of fell into the industry, myself included, and 50% of men fell into the industry. So I think it highlights the discrepancy of, women aren't actively pursuing manufacturing jobs, or they don't see themselves as that career for them. So it's something we can really focus on. I think even taking a step back from gender, though, 50% of men is a huge amount too. So
Yeah,
I think falling into
true.
this industry is kind of a trend I hear, period. And again, something, highlighting the awareness we need to build of the types of roles and proactive recruitment efforts we need to work on. But it's a really important issue. It's a personal mission, but honestly, I think it's something that the industry should feel compelled to focus on, because it really is a clear way to build out some of the gaps we're struggling with. So I think there are definitely social benefits of diversity, and it's the right thing to do, but there's a lot of economic benefits too. I think research shows there is enhanced creativity and innovation and better outcomes and better retention when you have diverse workforces, for example. But I also just think about this talent pool. Only 29% of manufacturing workers are female, according to the BLS, but almost half of the workforce is women. So woefully underrepresented in the industry as per the workforce. And you could solve the labor shortage overnight if you got women to enter the industry at the same rates as men. So further, if I think beyond gender and look at race, like you mentioned, if I'm looking at the next generation of the workforce in America, boomers, the census shows are around 70% white, manufacturing on average somewhere in the close to 80%. But Gen Z and millennials are closer to 50% white. So if we're just looking to attract the next generation of talent, it's a more diverse talent pool. And I think that's really important to tap into the future workforce, is to focus on retaining, focus on attracting, and kind of proactively bringing underrepresented groups to the industry. That's how we solve this problem, and that's how we solve this gap in a shorter period of time.
I'm glad you share that. I completely agree. And particularly since, from a geographic perspective as well, that manufacturing is diversifying quite a bit, that it's going to take that outreach to underrepresented communities. And I do see a lot of manufacturers and others leaning into that, but that's definitely an important part of the solution.
That's something I'm hearing from our clients, that's kind of working on how to invest in underrepresented groups and how to kind of build out more of a talent pool and combat the labor shortage. I think one of the things I hear a lot about is flexible work opportunities. So, our survey, for example, said almost 75% of respondents felt this was an important work benefit, but only about 55% of companies offered flexible work environments. And that can mean remote work, but I think that can also mean a lot of other things, like flexible time off or split shifts or part-time work, or rare instances. But I read about one factory that actually built a daycare facility next door, and I think they said 80% of their working parents use the facility. So really just opening opportunities. I think there's a lot of room for improvement as an industry to make manufacturing more accessible for groups that couldn't access it before. So I think that's a key focus area as well.
You are speaking my language now. I often start out talking about childcare with it being a barrier to getting more people into manufacturing, and they look at me like, "Well, no, is that?" I was like, "It really is. That this is a need, particularly that younger people have, and it's exceptionally expensive, becoming more expensive."
More expensive, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
and so I think, and in manufacturing, let's just be honest, for production jobs, you kind of got to show up. I mean, it's
Oh
hard to do
yeah.
that work remotely, and so there has to be some, going to where the market is, rather than just having the expectation that things are going to be the way that it was 30, 40 years ago, and you don't have to worry about issues like that.
I think one of the other things we've heard a lot about, and we actually just attended a Women in Manufacturing event with the Women's Association recently, and one of the key topics was about representation of, part of building awareness is actively showing that you have in your factory or in your workforce and at your company representation. And if you see yourself in the company, it's really easy to picture yourself having this role. So I think that's something really tactical that companies can take on, is proactively looking to attract talent in underrepresented groups, and then making sure that those underrepresented groups feel supported. There are ERG groups and also are represented in marketing content on the website, and
Yeah.
where people who go to your website can kind of see themselves.
Yeah, so you can see yourself, you can feel like you belong, right, in the
Exactly.
enterprise, absolutely.
Exactly.
So Rachel, I wanna ask you, at the end of the day, like, what's a success story for Thomas? I mean, I assume it's a match between a supplier, but what is that like for you guys? I can't imagine there's a bell that rings every time it happens, otherwise it would be very cacophonous.
Yes. I think it is that connection point. And ultimately, if you're coming to our site to find one supplier or to find five to do an RFI and, build out your supply chain, we want you to be able to find exactly what you're looking for. And for our supplier base, we want to connect you with, real buyers and with people who are looking to partner with you long term and for you to find value on our site through that. So ultimately, we're looking to power connections in the industry and help drive the manufacturing industry via those connections.
Fantastic. And in case anyone is listening who is looking to have something made or machined somewhere, Rachel, where can they find Thomas?
Thomasnet.com is where you can find us. You can do your search there and you'll see a number of suppliers in whatever area and category you're looking for. We have over 80,000 categories on our website, over 500,000 suppliers. So you'll find whatever you're looking for there. You can also find us on social media and LinkedIn. You can find me on LinkedIn, but really looking forward to connecting with you, whether it's on our site or offline.
Fantastic. Rachel Zepernick, GM of Thomas, thank you so much for joining us on the Manufacturing Report.
Thank you, Scott. This is a great conversation.